afternoon. It is 12 o'clock. This is a special meeting of the Flagler Beach City Commission, Tuesday, October the 4th, 2022, 12 o'clock, noon in the Commission chambers at 105 South 2nd Street. This is the amended agenda, and I'd like to call the meeting to order. And we have a resolution. Mr. Attorney.
Resolution 2022-17, a resolution by the City Commission of the City of Flagler Beach, Florida, renewing the declared state of emergency and enacting the powers of Chapter 14, Article 3, Emergency Management, providing for conflict and an effective date.
Okay, we'd like to open this up for a general discussion regarding the passing of the storm and some of the things that we've done and some of the things we will continue to do. City Manager, would you like to address this now?
Well, this matter is to extend the state of emergency in the city and allow us to continue to take emergency actions. So that's the focus of this. And then the next item is a little bit broader, and I can address those matters when you get to it. And then I do have some comments about status of what is happening right now and where we're going after that.
Okay, Commissioners, any discussion on the resolution? Okay, seeing none, we'd open up for public comment regarding the resolution.
Rick Belhumer, Flagler Beach. It's a no-brainer, obviously. Got to do it.
Any other comments? Seeing none, we bring back to the board for a motion, please.
I'll make new approved resolution.
Can you turn your mic on, please?
Oh, I'm sorry. Motion to approve resolution 2022-17.
Second.
Okay, I got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye, or you want to call the roll? Okay, go ahead.
Commissioner Phillips?
Yes.
Commissioner Mealy?
Yes.
Chair Bryan?
Yes, and the motion carries. Okay, we'll move on to a general discussion. Mr. City Manager.
Sir, the next item is in consulting with Penny, my institutional memory. She brought it to my mind, which is good, that we have some other situations happening with flooding, and this is kind of taken from some actions that were addressed in the past, and having worked other disasters, I highly recommend that we consider this. This is allowing for temporary structures, utility trailers, and recreational vehicles where people are, undertaking repairs or have been displaced in their homes and things of this nature. So this is consistent with what the city has done in the past. I've seen it done in other jurisdictions and would recommend you authorize this. And assuming that you do, or whatever action you take on this item, following that, I do have a few comments to bring you and the public up to speed on where we are and where we're going.
Okay, in regard to the trailers and other temporary type of utility type things as far as mobile homes or whatever, is there a process that individuals should follow prior to just bringing them in or setting them up?
Absolutely, and I would recommend that there be a firm end date on this. So if that hasn't been included, I would recommend maybe 1 year.
Okay, do they have to come in to get a permit for it, or they just do it on their own?
Well, there are some of the items, they would still need to come in and register, like the temporary storage, the pods, and if they're having the RV in their front yard, that has to be connected to the sewer, so they need an inspection for that. So a lot of it does require some notification to the city, not necessarily a permit, but some type of registration notification that it's being done. And what we'll do is we'll follow up with John Gifford, and if he sees anything, he'll go up and say, hey, we understand, are you doing this because of the storm? Find out what's going on with them, and if they are, in fact, have been damaged by the storm, and that's the purpose they're using this for, and he'll advise them of what they need to do.
Okay, and the reason I bring this up is so that individuals in the community will know that they can't just arbitrarily just start bringing stuff in and popping up.
We can do a post on the website, too. I'll get Katie to help me craft something. She's...
Okay.
Yep.
Commissioner Mealy?
Okay, no, I don't have any. I know, I remember doing this in the past. and thinking-
Yeah, I just want to make sure that everyone knows there's a process that they have to go through.
For the one-year end date that, William, you had just spoke about, I believe in past circumstances, a resident could come in and ask for a special exception because everything's on a lag time now. So-
Understood.
Okay.
I just feel like it's good to at least plant a flag that, that this is a window, and if there's extenuating circumstances, then we can do that on a case-by-case basis.
Case by case, or if it's prevalent, you could just extend the date, just
Correct.
through another.
Yeah, I believe we did that last time, that we had set a time and then we extended it.
And also, the waiver of permit fees for fences and the muck out for the demolition of pulling out the drywall and stuff. That's not a waiver of any electrical or plumbing permit or anything that requires a contractor licensed by the state of Florida Department of Business and Professional Regulation. And they still need to come file and pull the permit. It's just the waiver of the fee is there.
And by state, let me just add that by state law, we can't waive fees for electrical and other matters, but the things we have discretion over with fences and things like this, we can do that.
Okay, I'm glad you clarified that, because I think the last hurricane, it's my understanding, there was numerous occasions where individuals just went in and started just renovating without getting appropriate permits.
Right.
Okay, any other
Okay,
discussion?
no.
Would you just take a couple of minutes to cover the things that we discussed in the meeting yesterday regarding pickup of garbage and household
Why don't we
items?
vote on this first?
Yes,
I'm sorry.
y'all finished that item?
Okay.
Yes, sir, absolutely.
Okay.
So do you want us to say, motion to approve a temporary waiver to certain codified code and resolutions?
I can take a consensus for this
Okay.
and record it in the minutes, or if you want to make a motion, if you're going to do it that formally, I'd request that you refer to the section numbers that are bolded in your staff summary, and also, if you're going to put it in a motion, include in that sentence the waiver of permit fees for fences and drywall demolition.
What's the pleasure of the board? Do you want to do
I would ask you to do a motion.
Okay. All right, we'll do a motion.
It has to come back to us then.
Okay. So where it's bolded here, Penny, make a motion to approve temporary waiver of section 2.06.08.4.1, 3A, C, and G, temporary structures, utility trailers, and recreational vehicles. And then where else did you say?
Section 2.06.
Okay. Staff also believes some residents may require potable storage units and recommends a temporary waiver of section 2.06.08.4.2E to allow a portable storage unit to remain on site in excess of 7 consecutive days and in excess of 14 days in a calendar year.
And then the waiver of the fee, the next paragraph.
Where it says staff?
Waiver of building
Waiver
permit
of
fees
building
for
permit.
fences and interior demolition
Oh, I
of
see, okay.
drywall.
Waiver of
You can just say
building,
what Drew said.
okay. Waiver of building permit fees for fences and interior demolition of drywall, baseboards, flooring, et cetera. This fee is regulated by Resolution 2016-17, which adopted a fee schedule for the building permit and inspections.
Have a second?
Second.
Okay.
Commissioner Miller?
Public.
Well, public.
Public. Have public comment on this? Anyone make any comments regarding this particular resolution? Okay, bring it back to the board.
Commissioner Mealy?
Yes.
Commissioner Phillips?
Yes.
Chair Bryan?
Yes, and the motion carries unanimously. Absolutely, it's the
Okay.
donut.
Okay, but, just need a donut. So before we talk about the garbage pickup, et cetera, could you talk about, because I was kind of stuck for 3 days off of South 23rd, can you talk about the hardest hit areas of the city as well? Okay, or kind of kick it off with that.
Yes, ma'am. That's all right, Mr.
Absolutely,
Chairman? All right.
sure.
I kind of structured a statement, and I hope I hit everything that you're wanting to, but if not, we'll go back and touch base. So let me just say that from experience, We, the city team, and you as the leader of that team, are beginning a very long journey to fully recover from this storm. We took a heavy hit, especially the beach. But according to others who were here, it wasn't as bad as Irma, if that's any consolation. The rain estimates were somewhere between 15 and 20 inches from the EOC, and last count we were at around 10 inches. So yay. Had we have gotten more rain, no telling what it would have done. Right now, we are approved under FEMA for public assistance. What that means is that we as the city, if we need help to rebuild our pier, if we need help to rebuild our dune walkers, if we need help to rebuild a park or whatever public facility we have, we're good through the FEMA reimbursement process. I don't know the exact percentages because in the presidential declarations, a lot of times those percentages change. I heard it was 100%, but I need to confirm that. It's typically 75-25.
I did see 100% written somewhere.
Good. Somebody must need some boats, so
Yeah.
100%. That's good. Category A, we are approved for by FEMA. What does that mean? That means that we are approved for all of our debris pickup. Now, debris pickup is a big deal. The last storm I worked in Texas, which was Hurricane Harvey, a community, it was a county of 20 to 25,000 people, just to give you a sense of size. And apparently every tree in the county went down, and the city of Rockport, Texas, and we spent over $45 million to clean up the debris. With the debris process, we have to hire under contract a technical monitor to make sure we comply with all the rules, to make sure that the federal government's bill is correct, because they are picking up, and believe me, if it's 100%, they're going to watch every penny of it. So we have to, you know, and I tried to explain this as best I could to Rob. There's Flagler Beach service, and then there's FEMA service, and they are not the same. One has to be patient because they're counting and focused on money rather than service. So the debris will pile up for a little while. And just to give you a status update, we pre-arranged the monitor and the debris hauler prior to the storm, and Penny is all over that, did a great job. We have already been in touch with them. We've issued notices to proceed, and they are actually, Crowder Gulf is here, and also our monitor, Tetra Tech.
I just saw the guy from Crowder Gulf out with Rob.
Yep. So the process is beginning. That means it'll take a little while, but at least we're on the road, and that is going forward. So again, patience. Category B, we're approved for. What does that mean? It means that 72 hours before the storm, we're approved at apparently 100% for all of our expenses. And we had a lot of them. We also understand that FEMA has approved individual assistance, or IA, so that should help people to the extent their policies and procedures are followed for people that had flood damage and wind damage and these things. Yes?
Not to interrupt you, but I know that the chief has posted something about how to apply for the individual assistance. I just want people are saying that they're not getting any notices from the city.
Well, I'm about to cover that.
You will. Okay.
I am well aware of what people are saying, which is fine from their point of view, but perhaps it was the power going on and off and the internet coming in and out. All of those things happen. There has been consistent messaging from the city. So back to where I was, with each FEMA declaration becomes a pot of money. So I've already kind of laid out 4. There'll be others, I understand, that are in the train, and with every declaration, there's a special pot of money that goes for that purpose, for recovery, and we'll be monitoring those and working on those. So again, the process is complicated, but I know that we'll get through it. From the staff side of things, our teams have been out working since before the storm. We estimated that we have already spent over $65,000 as of this weekend on payroll alone, much less all of the other expenses. Again, I urge patience because there are key areas where we're thin. Risk management and HR, for example. Liz had surgery yesterday. She's down and out for the count for a while. Katie and I are assuming those responsibilities. Lee Richards is out, stormwater. Okay, so there are some, we don't have a large staff, and there is no redundancy in certain areas. And so again, I speak of this single point of failure, and a couple of those critical areas have come up already. So again, please be mindful of that as we go forward. Our public messaging, we just went back and took a look at it, and Katie looked it all up, and I have to compliment the chief primarily, and Katie as his backup. We issued information on FEMA IA. By the way, the call-in number is active from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. It's 1-800-621-3362. There's also a crisis cleanup number for people who need help, not counting Flagler Live, Flagler Strong. And so there's another source of help that was out there. We issued guidance on yard waste. We issued notice about the beach cleanup that's planned for this Saturday. We issued multiple notices on hazardous conditions on the beach and the restricted access via the dune walkovers. We have issued messages about unlicensed contractors and how people should be wary of those that prey on others in this type of situation. Water conservation, we issued messages on closure of schools, curfews, bridges, evacuation orders, power outages, the county hotline answering number, shelter sites, event cancellations and postponements, and more. We encourage the commission members to monitor your email. The situations often change, and as soon as we receive information, we will be happy to pass it along. We are a small organization, yet we got hit the hardest, and we have to do all the same things that the larger organizations have to do. So again, we would appreciate your patience. The damage assessment is underway as we speak. I met with Mott McDonald this morning at 7:30 a.m. That is the pre-selected damage assessment team under the FEMA process. They sent a whole team of people here, about 8 of them, and they are out looking at the pier. They are out looking at the beach. They are looking at the dune walkovers. They are looking at the public parks. They are looking at the public buildings. We had water in 3 buildings, the library, the maintenance shop, and in our public works facilities. We also had loss of some shingles at the police department, and we had some damage to the water tank. All of that is underway. And after I met with that group, then I met with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, the county engineer, and the Department of Environmental Protection this morning. They are also out doing an assessment of the situation. Our dunes did their job, but they sacrificed themselves. And I think the article in Flagler Live, I have to compliment Pierre and his team for doing their coverage. It is pretty accurate. And the dunes have been scoured to a nub. And if we have another event, I don't know what the future of the community would be, and certainly the future of A1A. So we are also in touch with FDOT. I've been constantly talking with them. There are contractors being mobilized as we speak, and sand will be added to the beach in critical locations. I am trying my best to show them where we have seen damage. There's also repairs that have been made to A1A on a sinkhole that just structures like that. And if we play our cards right in this study, money from the state to fund it and to fund those improvements under the resiliency strategy of the state of Florida. So that's where we're going with all of that. We are tentatively planning, and I'll need to speak to some other members of the commission about a community storm update. Previously, we had planned a kind of a state of the city, but some of us felt like, hey, let's just take that opportunity and turn it into a community storm update and let people come and ask questions and kind of give them an overview of what had happened and what we're going, even more detailed than what I'm going over now. We are tentatively looking at October 26th as a date, but the location and time is all to be determined, and obviously I want to speak with the commission about that. Finally, we are working with the county EOC to explore the possibility of getting FEMA to partner with us on a disaster recovery center. That center would be set up at the Wickline complex in the senior center. It would be to help residents who may have claims and to recover faster from the disaster. And again, let me just end by saying that I would urge patience as we go through this process. I've known recoveries to take many years. I think our community is far more resilient and better built and better used to this, so it won't take us as long as other places, but it will take time. And I just want to ask for your support and understanding. It's more important now than it's ever been. And I have to take just a brief minute to not only praise you for all that I was in constant touch with each and every one of you. And that's such a blessing to a manager to have that kind of open relationship. It really makes a difference. And my team, I see your sacrifice. There are employees at work right now whose homes were flooded, who are victims themselves, yet they are out there putting the public's business first. And I am quite proud to be part of this team, and I want to thank them, and I want to let you know that we're not going to stop until this community is put back together and recover, and we'll be better, bigger, and stronger. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Just a couple of things I'd like for you to expand on, because I've received phone calls as well, I'm sure some of the other commissioners. Sure. And I mean, it seems like it shouldn't be as important as other things, but just the status of the pier. I know that we have an engineering firm looking at it, and some have asked, will it ever open again, or are we going to just go ahead and continue with demolition in the spring, because it was scheduled to be demolished, considering what we're on track to do. The other item is, are there still, and I know what the answer is, but just to cover it, any restrictions on water and sewage usage, considering the fact that we did have some facilities that were compromised?
Let me take the easy question first. No restrictions on water or sewage usage.
Okay.
We're good. The sewage system was overwhelmed in places, but those are being repaired, and I think we're back to crazy normal, I guess, at this point. We will have, we're trying to proceed with our special workshop on the wastewater treatment rebuild for the 13th of October that we had previously planned. And again, Ben Fries, our engineer, guy's amazing. He and I are talking, and he's going to get ready for that briefing, and that briefing is going to go forward. On the pier, as I said, the damage assessment team is out there now. It's going to boil down to a matter of cost benefit. Will it cost more to do temporary stabilization and repairs and open the pier for a short period of time versus going ahead with the ultimate demolition that was scheduled anyway? So that will be something that the engineers gather the data, give me their suggestions, recommendations. They are running cost numbers. We will sit down with FEMA, we will sit down with you and kind of make that decision. My desire is to open the pier back up if we can do so safely, if we can stabilize it. If it doesn't cost more to do that than just do the demolition that's required, then that's certainly an option that's on the table. But how that unfolds, the engineering firms out there running numbers right now.
And the last item, it's a little sensitive, but I spoke to Drew about it, and that's only because I've received phone calls on this one as well, and that's the golf course. Where are we with that?
Well, we do have a contract in place, such as it is, and there are certain things that are insured assets. And we are, again, as I said, Liz is down. So we are gathering the information. We are having a meeting tomorrow with the insurance agent. We're going to begin the process, and no disrespect intended to anyone, but I have a million priorities going on right now, and the golf course is not at the top of the list. However, it is on the list, and we will be addressing their concerns as soon as we possibly can. But I think, stabilization of our utility system, making sure that the pier and the other public access areas are safe. I've actually scheduled, I'm working on a contract to schedule a dive team to go in and look at where this debris is. So, things like that have a little higher priority than the golf course.
Okay, I understand. I just want to address it because it's a priority on other people's list.
Got it.
Commissioners, would you like to?
Just two really quick questions. Do you know if all residents have power?
My understanding is that we're like 99.99% at power. There may be one or two isolated incidents, but the latest reports I've received is that we're almost there. And if anyone has any further reports, I'd be happy to know. I addressed an issue last night late about a utility pole over on 14th Street, so 14th and Flagler.
Okay. And then my second question is, the radio station is inoperable.
Correct.
Is that something that would be our expense or our?
It is not. However, I've already thought about that.
Okay.
When I was out in Texas, under Harvey, the governor out there had initiated a special program to raise funds and give out grants for things that weren't covered, that were essential to the community. FEMA is only going to cover so much. The state is only going to cover so much, but then there are things that people feel are important that fall outside those parameters. Well, I've already seen press releases, and I think I sent several to you all, that the First Lady, the governor's wife has already raised over $21 million in a fund. Well, I'll be interesting to see what those funds would go for, but I would see that as a source of funds. And I've instructed Vern to be careful about making sure he gets receipts, that he has everything documented, that those things are written down carefully, that, all of his equipment was destroyed, so he'll have to replace it. And he is going through that process. And as he does that, I plan to work with him to find sources of funding so that he can, get back on the air as soon as possible. It would be certainly up to the commission if you wanted to advance the funds to do that, but don't expect any kind of FEMA reimbursement or any other kind of grant reimbursement at this point.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Okay, I think it's proper. I'm sorry.
No, my questions are all answered.
I had a couple. One was, if we could just have, I keep getting this question today, if we could have an explanation of why our bridge was opened up when over half of the city didn't have power, and as well as it left those residents feeling vulnerable when the flooding had yet to occur. I had lots of feedback from residents saying, the city's out of power, my alarm system's not on, it looked like Disneyland, and the press even put out it was 300 people at the boardwalk, and they just want to know how that decision was made, because they're concerned about leaving next time.
Understood. I'm going to ask Matt to come up. It was an issue that the public safety team considered in concert with the sheriff and the EOC. And, you know, basically I think it had to do with the fact that because we had generators, we had working traffic lights and traffic control. There were people that were going to find their way around you know, that situation anyway, coming from the south and the north on A1A. And, you know, we just felt like it was hard to control, and we weren't able to meet the objective. Had the damage been worse, then certainly we would have kept the bridge closed longer. The way we had it set up was that westbound was always open so that people could get out. But eastbound was restricted during the parts of the emergency that we needed to control that access.
Okay, so just to clarify, as long as the city is okay, then we're not going to worry about protecting then essentially like our residents. That's where they felt like they were the ones that were left vulnerable. So that's why, I mean, I had lots of feedback on that.
I get that. But what they didn't know was that Matt and our team had extra officers on patrol. We not only had all of our, he gave no one off. So there were all 15 available, plus sheriff support.
Okay.
So if they noticed, no, I certainly noticed, there was, in addition to Flagler Beach, we also had sheriff's officers all over the place. So no one was vulnerable. They may have felt that way because of the situation, and especially with the power being out, that was not good. But we never felt that the situation wasn't safe, and we stand by our decision.
Okay, I have two more. One, I know our grounds crew is always shorthanded. Are we going ahead and forward thinking and looking forward to bring in day laborers? Because the city, I mean, obviously we all know it looks like a mess right now, and it's going to take extra hands on deck. I didn't know if that was something that we were already looking at, because we have that 100% reimbursement. This is the time we could actually use it to our benefit.
Well, if it was that easy, I would. But they were not pre-select. FEMA is very particular on how they do things and what they will and won't allow. So we'll explore that option and see if it's viable under the federal reimbursement. Otherwise, it would be on our dime that we would do that.
Okay. And then one more question was, this meeting today at 12 o'clock, could it have been later at 4? We have a working commission in here. We have 2 that aren't here. Just, I know decisions need to be made, but the first meeting, the emergency resolution, I understand that that one was time sensitive. Was this one time sensitive to be at noon as well?
We explained at the time that we sent out the notice that we would like to do it at 12 noon because the other order was done at 12 noon. And then if people had time conflicts or whatever, they could let us know. I heard nothing back from any commissioner that there was a concern about that.
Okay, so it could have been done Monday at 4, and it could have been more accommodating, just making sure.
If people would have told me that, yes.
Okay, because this was one of those emails that when it did come through, I didn't know that we had a meeting today until I spoke with you throughout the time period. Okay, that's all I had.
Okay. Just to elaborate a little bit, I was in the meeting when the decision was made to open the bridge. I had some concerns as well, and there was a lengthy discussion about it because I too was concerned about opening the city up, and we actually talked about the number of people that were actually coming across the bridge to sightsee. I live on Palm Drive, as you know, and the traffic was backed up probably to where the new walkover bridge is, almost to 95, because people were trying to get over here on this side here. Not to say that was justification to open it up.
On the other hand, I also got messages, texts, or whatever, I don't even remember where you read things anymore, of people who were glad that it was open westbound, but were hoping they could come home. And not, like they were just not evacuating, but they were going somewhere westbound and wanted to make sure they could come back.
Well, you have your license if you're a resident.
Yeah, but
It was just taking a long time because the traffic was backed up too. Because I actually had to use my ID to get into line with the police because they'd stopped everyone. But I think it's a genuine concern, but I think that it's also important to know that a lot of thought did go into it. It wasn't just an arbitrary open it up. Police chief did talk about the manpower, police power that they had on hand, so much so that we were talking about the A-frame was vulnerable because people wanted to go out there and actually take pictures, and Commissioner Sherman and I actually went out there and prevented anybody from going out on the bridge. We extended some of the security just by putting ourselves out there and telling people they couldn't go across. And I mean, there are a lot of lessons to be learned from it. One of the things we talked about yesterday is that, we had commissioners and everyone else out there putting up tape to discourage people from walking out on the walkovers in the pier. And all due respect to Surface and everyone else, but they were just ripping it down as fast as we put it up, and just totally disregarding authority to go out there. So much so that yesterday we'd even talked about putting up physical barriers to prevent people from going out. But I mean, here again, I'm not trying to defend anyone. I'm just trying to expand on the idea that there was consideration that went into it. And I had people that actually said, what about us? On the island, people are just coming over here visiting. They're causing a lot of traffic, this kind of thing here. But I think it's something that we look at and we should all look at in the future on a case-by-case basis, and just...
Can we get an update on what is open and what is closed? I know we had spoken at some point about the north side dune walkover. The county did a drone video and it showed that it was vulnerable, and we had discussed we were going to look at going forward. Is the beach closed? What's just an update on that?
Yeah, the damage assessment team is out now, and Bill has been trying to keep me posted. As the commissioner said, we had closed every dune walk right after the storm, and people ripped the tape down. But Penny has a list, and we're trying to get on top of that.
So in regards to dune walkovers, the county line to South 10th Street are all closed. South 9th to South 5th are open. South 4th is closed, and South 2nd, the handicap ramp, is closed. South 3rd is open. South 24th is closed, or north, I don't know. I'm reading someone else's notes. I'm gonna have to take a pass on that one. On the north side,
You can just post
second
them.
Can you
to
send that
sixth
out
is
to us, Penny?
closed.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but can you send that out to us?
Sure.
That might be
easier.
No.
I can't write that fast.
Okay. I thought maybe you, since you were asking questions for the public, you wanted to.
Yeah, no, I didn't mean for you to stop, but I can't write that fast, so if you could also send it out to us.
North 2nd to North 6th is closed. North 7th to 9th is open. North 10th is closed. North 11th to 14th is open. 15th and 16th North are closed. 17th is open. 18th North is closed. 20th and 21st Street North are closed, and 22nd and 23rd Street North walkovers are closed.
Thank
And
you.
a lot of the other ones that are open, it doesn't mean that they are without damage. It just means staff feels that someone could safely get down it. It's not structurally, it might need some repairs, but you can get up and down on the beach rather than someone trample the dunes because they're going to the beach, whether it's open or closed.
Is the beach open or is it closed?
The beach is open, however, people must be mindful. We just had a major storm. There's bacteria in the water, there's debris in the water, there are nails and all kinds of sharp objects on the beach. And if you go down there, you go down at your own risk. We have repeatedly sent that message throughout the weekend, to which people have summarily ignored it.
We were out there the other day, and there were pieces of timber coming off of the pier. And here again, you know, these guys, they're 18. That's why they send young men off to war. That's when they send us off. I mean, they were out there surfing with 2x4s and timbers. I mean, actually washing up on the beach. And the same that afternoon and the next day when my wife and I came over, there were people all over the beach, but there was debris coming from everywhere. And like you said, there's a lot of stuff with nails and sharp objects. But, you know, people want to do what they want.
I'd also like for Drew to address this matter because we have talked about it extensively, not only with Drew, but with Al Hadid. And this has been a constant conversation because it wasn't a storm, as I said, it was as bad as Irma or as bad as Matthew, where it's clear, black and white. It's not safe. Ian, you know, presents challenges, but it's not without risk. And, you know, we need to warn the public, if you go out there on that beach and you walk up and down, or you want to go surfing, or what have you, you're on your own, and it's just not a good situation.
Well, you said everything that I asked you to say when the issue came up, so I don't have much to add, but I think that's absolutely right. Our number one interest in everything is public safety. And to the chair's point, we can only do so much, and we have to recognize at a certain point that people are going to go where people want to go, and that is our messaging now is we're going to do what we can to advise you where things are not safe. But if you choose to go there, you are doing that at your own risk. And I think that's, you know, given the extent, the range, and it's not just Flagler Beach. I think it's everywhere along that course. That's what we're all dealing with in every city is, you know, we're giving people notice of their hazards here. But if you're going to go there, we don't have the manpower to physically stop you from going there.
I know there was a terrible story out of Daytona. Some people were visiting and decided during the storm to go for a walk on the beach,
And a woman
right next to the water, and the wife got
sucked
out into the ocean and drowned.
You can't fix stupid.
You can't stop that.
Okay, we're going to just go ahead and open it up for public comment. Name and address, please.
Scott W. Spradley, Yorkshire Drive, Flagler Beach. A couple of things. Number one, I think, Penny, to help you with what it said on the South 24th walkover, it probably didn't say closed or open. It probably said gone. They're just, that one's gone.
It says no.
Yeah.
No, there's a 2 or 3 foot leap between the road and it's definitely dangerous and not open.
Yeah.
South 24th
So that was that.
and 21st.
As to the police presence, I know just in having stayed here throughout the event, I, for one, noticed the presence very higher than it normally is. I mean, I ventured out a couple times. At least once I regret going out because I lost my camera because of salt water intrusion. But they were, the force was everywhere. And so I was comforted by that. And just as to the city generally, what I have seen and what I've heard is a good report from Mr. Whitson. You know, I'm satisfied that everybody's working on 12 cylinders, you know, and I think with each one of these events, we learn more and add to our knowledge base about what to do next time. But I think also here, we have a very solid volunteer corps, and you can count on these guys. And I see Ms. Wiggins here, Ms. Callahan's here, and Fox and Chestnut. Those folks they put themselves secondary to helping out in the community. So I think the city, combined with our volunteer corps, has done a really good job so far. But I appreciate it, Mr. Woodson.
And if I may, I know I'm not supposed to interrupt public comment, but I would like to thank Scott for everything that he's put out as well. That drone that you have is terrific, and thank you for your reporting.
Rick Belhumer, Flagler Beach. I remember when we had walkovers and nobody ever knew which ones were open or closed. We had a list, and that was publicly, that was always available to the public to know. And also remember Larry specifically making sure that enter at your own risk signs were up at each one of them. So let's see what else we got here. Couple of questions. What's going on with the 1200 block of South? I guess too much dune got taken away, and they got that block or two closed still. Curious where we stand on the city app. That would be kind of helpful right now, maybe. And another point that just maybe you can make the public aware that a lot of this staff time and overtime is reimbursable. I don't know that everybody knows that, and the police presence was very, very prominent, including a lot of county deputies here. One request as far as yard waste goes, can we get the trash cans emptied? I don't know, the crowd grabs those things with the claw. We won't have any trash cans left, so they all have to be hand dumped anyway. So it'd be handy, because even though the hurricane's gone, we still continually have yard waste, and it's usually put in cans, at least at my place. The pier, another thing, we lost, 162 feet to Matthew, something like that. I'm pretty sure that was the number.
Something like that.
But FEMA did give us money enough to patch it up to where we could reopen it. So, and then gave us money for the new pier on top of it. At least that's how I remember it. So maybe we can get help with FEMA dollars to just nail it in place to where it doesn't go any farther.
No?
Okay, anyone else?
Hi. I was watching on Facebook, so
Linda, you have to give your name.
Oh, sorry, Linda Carpenter, 600 Moody Lane. I was watching on Facebook, and I really just wanted to come forward because I live right in front of the bridge. And so I heard all these conversations, and so the citizens that are watching and everybody else, I watched as FDOT was there as soon as they could be there. They were out there fully examining the bridge, everything about it, making notations and everything else. The police, some of the commissioners were out there really helping, sandbagging and everything. And I just, I know our community right now is devastated because of our beach. And I understand we just mentioned the pier. I like to always see sometimes a silver lining in the destruction, which as I understand, like preserving and saving part of the pier is like such an added obstacle with actually rebuilding and extending out the whole pier. So I look at it as an opportunity to get moving faster. To me, that's how I look at it. The only other thing I thought, first of all, I apologize. I did break those rules. I did walk on the beach. I desperately want a driftwood tree that was out there if it's still there, but that's just for my own use. But it is very sad, and if you look at all of those steps, it is very unstable. We had to walk far further distances to be able to safely get up steps. So I wanted other people to be aware of that. I wouldn't do it again unless I was out there volunteering with the cleanup. But really, I just wanted to say thank you to all of you. And really to Scott and Paul and Flagler Strong, because, yeah, the stepping up in the part of the community just makes me love this place so much more. And I just wanted to come up there and just say that instead of all the other stuff that we're just trying, everybody's trying to do the best they can. And just thank you. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Anyone else? Sure.
Hi, everybody. My name is Evie Little, and I live at 1204 South Central. We've only lived here for about a year, and I'm just super grateful to be part of the Flagler Beach community. My only concern, so I want to say thank you to everyone, but my only concern is on South Central between 12th and 13th, you all put a stop sign, which we were so grateful for because people were speeding, but now we're part of that detour coming, and my dog and I and my husband almost got hit by a car because the cars are not watching. They're flying through. And so I'm just putting the word out there, please. I'm speaking on behalf of a lot of our neighbors, just to get the word out and let you know. So thank you so much.
Okay, anyone else?
Good afternoon. Chuck Westfall. I live in South Central. This is more redundant than anything, but I'm assuming because the people on the dais were all elected officials, they represent all of the people in Flagler Beach. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. With that being said, my question is, why is the south end of Flagler Beach being disregarded when it comes to cleanup and receiving some of these benefits that we're supposed to be receiving from the city? i.e. specifically the golf course. I spoke with the city. I heard the city manager talking about all these inspections. Nobody's come to the golf course to do an inspection. Nobody's bothered to look at the roof half tore off, or that there's all kinds of roof debris all over the golf course, in addition to all the palm fronds and everything. But we're not getting any help cleaning it up. That's not what their contract says, but that's a legal issue. But when I spoke with the city manager's assistant, I was told, we're not going to do anything because there's a lawsuit pending. What does the lawsuit have to do with the city property? It's taxpayers that pay the taxes. We pay an enormous amount of taxes being beachside, having high dollar value houses. We should be receiving some of these benefits. We should be having somebody come out there to clean up the golf course, at least after 5 days, put a tarp on the roof. We tried to contact FEMA. FEMA says we can't do anything for you because you don't own the golf course. It's up to the city, and the city's refusing to do anything. Now, with that being said, I had a pretty good relationship with two young ladies that work here for the city. They were the liaison for Mr. Whitson's office. And we were told, under no uncertain terms, on multiple occasions, that if we stuck it out, me and another fellow, because we're the last two employees at the golf course to take care of it, that we would be receiving help from the city. That they would do everything they can until this transition, whether one way or another, that they would help us out. Now we're not getting any help. I called the girl and she said, I'm sorry, we can't do it. I understand. I'm not going to hang anybody out to dry, but I understand that they had a department head meeting on Friday. And in that department head meeting here, it was talked about the golf course. We're not doing anything for the golf course. We're doing nothing for them. So basically what you're saying is the people that all around the golf course that pay high dollar taxes, they're non-entities. They don't receive any help from the city to fix up the golf course or do anything to make it playable again. I spent and my wife spent 12 hours yesterday The city sewer system backed up into the golf course because the lift station went down, because the construction project on the corner, the scaffolding fell on the power lines. Nobody knew the lift station was out. It backed up in the golf course. Me and my wife spent 12 hours cleaning that damn golf course. Scrubbed it, disinfected it. I just got back from Winn-Dixie. I had to take the carpet cleaner back. We're trying to get the place back open again so it benefits everybody, including the city.
Thank you, sir. Your time's up.
Okay, my time's up. Thank you. Sure would like some answers.
Any others?
Hi, Tiffany Wiggin, lifelong residence, currently on North Central. I guess my biggest complaint at this point is every storm I've lived through here, every time we've been here, the cleanup has never been an issue. The volunteers have never had an issue figuring out where they needed to be, where help needed to be, and I never have seen storm debris sit on the side of the road for longer than a week. And I'm kind of confused as to why after Irma and Matthew, it wasn't an issue, but now it is. I keep hearing FEMA and patience, but why is it different now? Why is it continuing to be different? And why are our citizens not getting answers? I feel like anybody that has gutted their house with sewage and water that spilled into their homes on South Central or on South Flagler, where I have been helping them, should have some answers as to when they are going to get that stuff out of there. I mean, after Matthew, after Irma, we had trucks and we had people, and the entire bridge was clean within days, a week of the storm decimating us. And we keep saying how blessed we are that it wasn't as bad, but yet the cleanup isn't being executed the way it has been previously. I'm grateful it wasn't as bad, but I can't figure out why these people can't get answers as to what is going to go on with their trash removal. The only other comment that I have on top of that is I don't think in any other city they expect the police department to take care of social media and informing the public. Typically that is something done by the city, and there's usually people in the city doing it. Our city website is a joke, and you guys, that's something that has needed to be addressed, and now we're in the middle of a crisis, and here we are. It shouldn't be coming on water bills, shouldn't be coming on email. I mean, the fact that we don't even have an email system for our citizens and we're going through word of mouth, the fact we don't have a setup of where to send people who need help. People have questions. There's elderly out there that don't know who to reach out to still because they don't use social media. And if it wasn't for organizations like Flagler Strong knocking on doors, I don't think you guys would have any idea what was actually going on with some of our citizens here.
Anyone else? Okay, seeing none, I'll bring back the board, and I'll start with the last one and last speaker. Mr. Whitson, you can address some of these issues. However, I would beg a differ that we're not responding because the storm was just over Friday. Today's only Tuesday, and I think I see quite a few things being done. And that's not necessarily just the volunteers, but also the professional individuals that's working in the city. I've been attending all the meetings every morning that they have here, just about. And I can tell you right now, our city's out busting their tails. The employees are too. Unfortunately, we don't have the staff that many other cities have. We don't have the number of citizens that we have, which reduces the number of taxpayers in order to pay for some of these things that we're talking about. As far as social media and all, city manager is actually working on a website, not necessarily a website, but also the communication and ways to more effectively reach out to people. As far as, I'm not going to be going through all of these things here. The city police chief does the website because he likes to do it. He's very good at it. He's the first one that gets information in regard to emergency management and other types of issues. I'm not going to even go into all of that stuff there. As far as the golf course is concerned, the golf course belongs to everyone, not just the people on the south part of Flagler Beach. So everyone in the city owns that golf course. Sir, if you'd like to get with our city attorney and the city manager to give you a little bit more explanation as to why we are or not responding to some of the issues on the golf course, I think they'd be happy to do that.
I already know the reason.
Okay, well, please don't interrupt me, sir. You've already spoken. So anyway, those particular issues are being addressed by our city, and there's a way that's being done. And city manager here, again, if you'd like to elaborate on that, you can do so.
I think you did a good job.
Okay. Some of the other issues here, I was trying to respond to some of them, and I can let some other commissioners take it on if they like. Yard waste and some of the other items, there is a process. There was another item that the lady addressed here in regard to items not being picked up. The city manager explained a few minutes ago the process of being reimbursed as far as picking up debris. Our supervisor of sanitation is sitting right there to your right. He has a very, very tough job of actually determining what has to be picked up, when it has to be picked up, what's going to be reimbursed by FEMA, what will have to be paid for by us. There is a schedule, and I think it was put out as to when yard debris was being picked up. Monday was one day when it was just a regular trash, and then today and the rest of the week when other items would be picked up as far as furniture, yard waste, trees, and things of this nature. It's a very, very laborious process. We actually went through the process of hiring a contractor that's going to be assisting us with picking up a number of the debris items on all of the streets throughout the city. The expectation that all of this would be done from the time that the storm ended Friday to Tuesday and have everything cleaned up throughout the city, I think is a little ambitious, even though I'd like to see it happen that way as well, but that's not going to happen. But our sanitation department is working on that. Pier demo, here again, the city manager can talk about that. There was some ideas talking about the pier. We also indicated right now that we have an engineering firm that's out there assessing the likelihood as to whether or not we're going to refurbish it, if it's cost effective to reopen it, or as suggested, just go ahead and let it go through the process of demolition. I try to look at the bright side of things sometime, and even though there may be a 6 to 7 month lack of use of the pier itself, when you look at how much of the pier would actually not be demolished, that's that much less money that we're going to have to spend for demolition. Mother Nature is taking part of it down. But here again, all of that's going to be dependent on whether or not the engineering firm said it's cost effective to shore it up and whether or not it's going to be safe. The pier took a tremendous hit, a lot of hits, and there's a lot of boards that are still loose, and I think we just spent, what, $50,000 this past year securing it in order to tighten up the bolts and things of this nature. So what did I miss, Commissioner Mealy?
There was one thing that I wanted to address that Mr. Bellumer said that in the past FEMA gave us money to repair and the reason we're getting a cement pier is because FEMA said we were a recurring disaster. That's not the word, the recurring something.
It's repetitive loss.
Repetitive loss, that's what it is. And so they were no longer going to give us money to repair the pier, which is why we have to do the cement pier in the spring. I just wanted to get that out there. I would like to say, too, that we could not clean the city up from Friday to today. That even if we had Crowder Gulf here the week before, it still could not be cleaned up that quickly. And I think you addressed everything else.
I have a question.
Sure.
Were the city staff meetings recorded so the residents could hear about the different areas of interest and concern of the city?
No.
Those are regular staff meetings that the city manager was having.
Okay, wasn't sure. And then just to add, Flagler Beach All-Stars is having a beach cleanup this Saturday at 9 a.m. It will be from 10th to 10th. We will be doing some heavy lifting in areas. We're going to have another, previous mayor Linda P. and I will have a discussion with city manager to discuss the strategicness of that, but we will also be doing light pickup of just regular beach trash as well. So come with your muscles and we'll see you there.
There was also a comment about speeding on one of the, I think it was South Central. This traffic is being diverted over there. 12, I'm sorry. I saw the police chief taking notes on this. So I'm sure he'll be monitoring that to make sure that there's...
that whole situation was because of the sinkhole that developed on A1A. And they had to divert the traffic off to make the repair, and the repair, is it finished, Chief? It was underway.
That was addressed to the citizen concern about non-deposits.
Yeah, so the repair's underway. Been, again, extremely impressed with FDOT and how quickly they've jumped on some of these things. And that's not the only thing that's going on with A1A. There will be additional follow-up. There are places where A1A, there's maybe 20 feet between the ocean and the road and the traffic signals. There's another place that I saw with my own eyes this morning at South 21st where you're talking about 5 feet. So it's a real serious situation. It'll ebb and flow and it'll change, and we'll just have to be able to be nimble and follow the ping pong ball.
Okay, last thing, and I just want folks to know that, I try to attend as many of the meetings as I can, even though I don't have to. I like to be there just because I'm sort of a hands-on type person, as well as some of the other commissioners. We do have, and you can call it excuses, whatever, but we have a number of people that are down. The head of our building department just had a hip replacement. He came walking in, not really walking, he was limping in the other day with a walker, where he could actually hardly make it. That was right after surgery. Our human resources director, she's out from surgery. And, and here again, the gentleman that works on our code enforcement, his house was totally flooded. And he's right here working every single day, trying to do the best as he can when he would rather be home trying to take care of his family as well. So, we have individuals that bust their ass, I'm going to say it, trying to keep our city up. And we really appreciate everyone that comes out and volunteers and supports what we're doing. And we'll continue to do the best we can. And it's okay to make excuses and call and make complaints, but also take in consideration that folks are not just sitting on their tails not doing anything. Everyone is trying to do the best they can. Lessons learned, one of the things that I'd written down here is a couple of folks on their own actually had streets that were flooded, had put signs out, no wake, because you had individuals running up and down the streets, putting wakes, causing water to go into people's houses and their doors. So here again, this is something we may look at in the future and say, maybe we'll just put some signs out that says residents only to try to discourage people from just driving up and down the streets themselves. There are a lot of lessons to be learned. We'll certainly take the criticism and we'll take suggestions, but we'll continue to move on as best as we can. Commissioners, have any other comments?
I would just like to give a shout out to Brenda Witherspoon's here right now. Yesterday she met with a resident, with Mr. Whitson, and they were able to comfort the woman and get her the help that she's going to need. So I want to, and
Flagler Strong.
And I was going to say that next. And Trace, Tracy knows. Love you to death, and Flagler Strong did amazing, amazing work.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, no other comments? Have a motion for adjournment?
No.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. While you're here, I need to schedule 2 meetings with you. The declaration is only valid for 7 days. We used to could go 30, but now we have to renew every 7 days. So I want to go ahead and schedule a meeting on October 10th to renew that if it's necessary. We can push that to 4. Is that an agreeable time, Susie?
That's better.
So 4 p.m. on the 10th? And that's to renew the declaration if necessary. And then the other meeting would like you to schedule is on a regular meeting day, October 13th. And that would be a 4:30 special meeting. And we'd have Ben Fries here to discuss the wastewater treatment plant.
I'm sorry, on the 13th at
Yes, ma'am.
4:30. 4:30.
It's bed on the wastewater.
And that's about the water treatment plant?
I'm sorry.
What kind, it's not,
It's a special meeting. Yeah.
It's a workshop to go through where we are with the wastewater treatment plant.
You want a workshop, no action? Mr. Whitson?
Correct.
Okay.
Anything else, Commissioner?
Can we say the
Mayor?
date that we moved the,
State of this.
yes.
26.
Tentatively 26th. We have to get ready for that meeting. We think we can make that. It was going to be the 19th, but if with your permission, we'd like to reschedule to the 26th. Then we will announce the location and times as we get that taken care of.
And it will not be what we had scheduled as the state of the city. It will be more about the storm recovery.
Yes, it's more of a general storm update meeting.
Okay.
Anything else, commissioners? Mayor? Mr. Whitson?
Keep the suggestions coming. We're not perfect, but we are working very hard.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
We're officially adjourned. Thank you.